Hey folks, welcome back to another powerful session on Stoic wisdom. Have you ever noticed what it takes to dismantle someone's ego without even saying a word, as if the very act of stepping back could crumble their pride like a fortress that was never as strong as it seemed? What if your silence could echo louder than any argument? What if your silence could be the most powerful setback they've ever had, shaking their ego to its core? Sounds like a crazy fantasy, right? Well, it's not. Today, we're diving into the Stoic strategy of using silence as a weapon, not to hurt, but to heal yourself and reclaim your power. This isn't about passive aggression or playing mind games. It's about understanding the strength that comes from within, the strength that allows you to step back, remain calm, and let your silence do the talking. Our wise friend Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." Imagine the power you hold when you refuse to engage in the chaos, when you choose not to be pulled into someone else's drama. It's like standing firm in the eye of a storm, unshaken and unmoved, while everything around you spins out of control. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting their own insecurities back at them, forcing them to face the cracks in their ego. Imagine a relationship scene where the flame of connection has been flickering, slowly dimming, as ego and pride take center stage. The warmth that once fueled your bond is now overshadowed by misunderstandings and unspoken words. You've tried to reignite that flame, but it seems like every effort is met with resistance, as if the very act of trying pushes them further away. Now picture what happens when you stop trying, when you step back and let your silence speak volumes. Suddenly, that flickering flame is met with a cold gust, the reality of your absence. The very silence they thought they could handle becomes the most powerful setback they've ever faced, shaking their ego to its core. But before we dive into the strategies and principles that will guide you through this transformative process, I've got a challenge for you. If you're ready to embrace the power of silence and let it work in your favor, drop a comment below with the phrase, "My silence is my strength." This isn't just a statement, it's a declaration of your commitment to rise above the noise, to let your silence speak louder than any words. Let's see how many of you are ready to take this step towards true inner power. Ready, Stoic friends? Let's go. Now you might say, "Okay, I got it. Silence is the solution to shaking their ego, but what next?" I'm afraid that mere silence will even make the situation worse. And my friend, you're 100% right. The first step is to try and discuss the issue mutually, to find a solution together. But what if you've tried that and still things are getting worse? That's exactly what we're going to dive into further. You see, if someone is telling you that mere silence will do the trick, that's just manipulation. We're not here to play games or to wield silence as a weapon of destruction. We're here to talk about a much deeper, more transformative process. It's not just about destroying their ego. It's about rising above the noise, showing your true worth, and ultimately making them realize what a precious gem you are. It's about creating a space where they begin to crave your presence, not because you're playing hard to get, but because your silence has shown them a glimpse of life without you, a life they don't want to live. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you're in a relationship where you've been constantly trying to mend things, constantly trying to communicate, but every attempt feels like you're hitting a wall. You've had the discussions, you've tried to find solutions, but nothing seems to change. This is where silence comes in, not as an end, but as a powerful pause. Take the story of a friend of mine who was in a similar situation. She decided to step back, not in anger, but in quiet reflection. Her silence wasn't about punishing her partner. It was about giving him space to realize what he was losing. Over time, he began to see the void her absence created, and it was only then that he started to appreciate what he had been taking for granted. As the great philosopher Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." This isn't just about making someone miss you. It's about giving them the opportunity to see you in a new light, to understand your value, and to rise above petty conflicts. When you approach silence with the intention of healing and self-respect, it becomes a powerful tool for transformation, not just for them, but for you as well. So, go ahead and like this video. Why? Because when you like this video, YouTube will show it to more people who are looking for help. And by doing so, you're taking charge of helping others. And trust me, when you take the charge of helping others, you'll see the universe taking the charge of helping you. Now, let's move toward understanding how this silence, combined with the right mindset and actions, can turn the tide in your favor. Number 1, be present but say less. So, folks, the first thing you need to understand is that completely drifting away isn't the solution. In fact, it could make things worse. The goal isn't to vanish, but to create a subtle shift in how you engage. The strategy here is to be present but say less. Be there, but be a little low on initiating contact, making new plans, or responding right away to their messages. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about allowing space for them to realize the value of your presence. Imagine you're in a relationship where communication has become routine. Maybe it's a romantic relationship, or perhaps it's a close friendship, or even a professional partnership. You're always the one to reach out, to check in, to keep the connection alive. But what happens when you start to pull back just a bit? Not completely, but just enough to create a noticeable shift. You're still there, but your energy isn't as readily available. You're not rushing to reply to their texts, not the first to suggest plans. This small change can have a profound impact. Think of it like this. If you're constantly filling up their glass with water, they'll never notice when it's empty. But if you stop filling it up so frequently, they'll start to notice when it's running low, and they might just begin to appreciate that water a lot more. The same goes for your presence. By not being the one to always initiate, you give them the chance to realize how much they miss that part of you. This can apply to any relationship, romantic, friendship, or professional. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine was in a long-term relationship where she always made the plans, dinners, trips, even small weekend activities. She noticed that her partner had started to take her efforts for granted, so she decided to pull back just a little. She didn't stop making plans entirely. She just waited for him to take the initiative. At first, it felt uncomfortable for her because she was used to being the one in control of their social calendar. But over time, something interesting happened. He started to notice her absence in the planning and began to step up, taking more initiative and valuing the time they spent together more deeply. This approach can be applied in various relationships. If you're always the one checking in on a friend, try letting them come to you. If you're the one always smoothing things over at work, let others take the lead sometimes. By being present but saying less, you allow others to fill the gap, to appreciate what you bring to the table. But what if you find it hard? What if your instinct is to always be available, always be the one to keep things moving? This is where the practice of restraint comes into play. It's not about abandoning the relationship or being cold. It's about giving yourself and the other person space to breathe. Start small. Maybe delay your response to a message by a few minutes, or instead of suggesting a plan, wait to see if they will. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but remember that growth often happens in discomfort. If you're struggling with this, remind yourself of what Epictetus once said: "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In this case, consider it as listening to the silence, allowing it to create a space where appreciation and respect can grow. Silence doesn't have to mean disconnection. It can be a form of communication itself. It can show that you value yourself enough to not always be the one chasing, to let things come to you naturally. Here's another real-life example. A colleague of mine was always the one to offer solutions in team meetings. She was known for her quick thinking and problem-solving skills, but over time, her contributions were taken for granted. So, she decided to step back and listen more, offering her thoughts only when absolutely necessary. This change didn't go unnoticed. Her colleagues began to realize the value of her insights and started seeking her opinion more actively, appreciating her contributions more than before. Incorporating this strategy into your relationship means allowing the other person to take the lead sometimes, to let them realize that your presence isn't something to be taken for granted. It's about creating a healthy balance where your value is recognized without you having to constantly prove it. If you find it difficult to adopt this approach, start with small steps. You don't have to make drastic changes overnight. Begin by setting small boundaries, whether it's waiting a bit longer to respond to a message or allowing someone else to make the plans. These small shifts can lead to big changes in how you're perceived and how the relationship evolves. And folks, here's something important to keep in mind. This strategy is not about manipulating. It's about self-respect and creating an environment where your presence is valued. By being present but saying less, you're allowing the other person to step up, to fill the space that you've intentionally left open. This not only helps them appreciate you more, but also gives you the peace of mind that you're not overextending yourself in the relationship. So, take a deep breath and remember that you have the power to create the dynamic you want in your relationships. It's okay to step back a little, to let silence do some of the talking, and to let your presence speak volumes without having to always fill the space with words or actions. If you're ready to embrace this powerful shift and make it work in your favor, let's declare it together. My silence is my strength. This isn't just a statement. It's a commitment to rising above the noise, to letting your silence speak louder than words, and to valuing yourself in every relationship. And friends, before we dive into the next strategy, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If everything is clear so far, this video definitely deserves a like, so go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, this is just the first of 9 powerful strategies. To truly see the impact, you'll need to apply all of them. So, stick with me, because today is the day you start making these changes that will transform your relationships. Number 2, stay calm when they expect chaos. Stay calm when they expect chaos. One of the most powerful things you can do in a relationship, whether it's with your husband, wife, or a close partner, is to remain calm when the other person expects you to react with chaos. Imagine this. Tensions are high, emotions are running wild, and your partner is waiting for you to explode, to argue, or to lose control. But instead, you remain calm, composed, and unshaken. This unexpected reaction can completely disarm them and shift the entire dynamic of the situation. Let's consider a situation where you're in a romantic relationship and arguments have become frequent. Your partner knows exactly how to push your buttons, and is used to seeing you react with frustration or anger. But what if, instead of giving them the reaction they expect, you choose to stay calm? You take a deep breath, listen carefully, and respond with measured words. This calmness can be unsettling to someone who's used to chaos. It's like throwing water on a fire. They don't know how to keep the flames going if you refuse to fuel them. Staying calm doesn't mean you're indifferent or that you don't care. On the contrary, it shows a deep level of self-control and emotional intelligence. When you remain calm in the face of chaos, you're demonstrating that you're not easily manipulated or thrown off balance. This can be incredibly empowering, not just for you, but for the relationship as well. It sets a tone of respect and maturity that can help diffuse tense situations and open the door to more constructive communication. Now consider a close friendship where emotions run high. Perhaps you've had a disagreement, and your friend is ready for a heated exchange, expecting you to match their intensity. But instead of escalating the situation, you choose to remain calm. You focus on listening and understanding rather than reacting. Your calmness might initially confuse them, but it also forces them to mirror your composure, leading to a more productive conversation and ultimately a stronger friendship. This approach is powerful because it takes away the fuel that drives conflict. When others expect you to react with chaos and you don't, they're left with their own emotions to deal with. This can lead to a shift in how they see you and how they interact with you in the future. They begin to understand that you're not someone who can be easily rattled, and that demands a new level of respect. If you find it challenging to stay calm in such situations, remember the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Staying calm is a choice, a demonstration of your inner strength, and a reminder that you control your reactions, not the chaos around you. So, next time you find yourself in a situation with your partner or friend where chaos seems inevitable, take a deep breath, center yourself, and choose calm. Let your calmness be your strength, a quiet yet powerful response that shifts the energy in your favor. Embrace this approach, and you'll find that staying calm when they expect chaos not only helps you maintain your peace, but also transforms the dynamics of your relationships. Number 3, let them wonder what you're up to. Let's dive into the second strategy. Let them wonder what you're up to. This isn't about playing mind games. It's about cultivating a sense of intrigue and mystery that draws people toward you without you having to say a word. You see, in any relationship, whether it's romantic, friendship, or even professional, people often get comfortable when they think they have you all figured out. They start to take your presence, your routine, and your efforts for granted. But when you introduce a bit of mystery, when you step back and let them wonder what you're up to, something powerful happens. Their curiosity grows, and they begin to realize they don't know as much about you as they thought. Imagine you're in a relationship where every detail of your day is shared, every plan is laid out, and there's little room for surprise. Over time, this routine can become predictable, and predictability often leads to complacency. But what if, instead of always sharing your every move, you started to keep a few things to yourself? You don't have to go silent or distant, but just hold back a bit of your daily narrative. This subtle shift can make them start to wonder, what are they up to? Or, why didn't they mention this? This wonder can reignite a spark of curiosity and interest that keeps the relationship fresh and engaging. Take, for example, a couple I know who had been together for several years. They shared everything with each other, every plan, every thought, every feeling. While this level of openness can be healthy, it had reached a point where there were no surprises left. The relationship began to feel stagnant, predictable, and a bit too routine. So, one partner decided to introduce a bit of mystery. She didn't start withholding important information or creating distance. She simply began to share a little less. She took up new hobbies, met new people, and didn't always immediately share every detail with her partner. At first, her partner was confused. He wasn't used to not knowing every detail of her day. But soon, his curiosity turned into intrigue. He found himself more interested in her life, more eager to learn about her day when she chose to share. It wasn't long before he realized how much he'd been taking her for granted and how much he appreciated learning new things about her. This subtle change brought a renewed sense of excitement and connection to their relationship. The key here is balance. You're not trying to create distance or make the other person feel left out. Instead, you're allowing them to rediscover the mystery and intrigue that comes naturally when two people aren't completely enmeshed. It's about letting them see that there are parts of you that are still unfolding, still evolving, and that they don't have you entirely figured out. This is particularly powerful in long-term relationships, where routine can sometimes overshadow the excitement that comes from discovering new things about each other. But what if you're someone who finds it difficult to keep things to yourself? What if you're naturally an open book, always eager to share every detail with those you care about? This is where the practice of self-restraint comes in. It doesn't mean you have to change who you are, but rather it's about being intentional with what you choose to share and when. Start by holding back on the small things. Maybe you try a new activity or learn something new, and instead of immediately sharing it, you wait until the right moment. This can create a sense of anticipation and curiosity that keeps the other person engaged. The philosopher Aristotle once said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." By letting them wonder what you're up to, you're not creating distance. You're creating a space for curiosity to grow. You're reminding them that you're still a person with your own life, your own interests, and your own journey, and that's incredibly attractive. This strategy can be applied in any type of relationship. In friendships, it can mean not always being the first to share your news, letting your friends come to you with curiosity. In professional settings, it can mean allowing your work to speak for itself, letting others wonder about the projects you're involved in. This subtle air of mystery keeps you intriguing, keeps others invested in getting to know you more deeply. If you find this difficult, remind yourself of the benefits of creating space in your relationships. This isn't about being secretive or distant. It's about giving others the opportunity to see you in a new light, to discover aspects of you that they may have overlooked or taken for granted. By letting them wonder, you're allowing them to appreciate you more fully. And here's something important. This strategy isn't about playing games or manipulating the other person's emotions. It's about maintaining a healthy sense of individuality within your relationships. It's about allowing yourself to grow and evolve and letting others be intrigued by that growth. It's about showing that you're more than just the sum of your shared experiences. You're a person with depth, with layers, and with a life that continues to unfold. So, take a moment to reflect on how you can incorporate this strategy into your relationships. Maybe it's by holding back just a little, by not always being the first to share, or by allowing others to come to you with curiosity. Remember, when you let them wonder what you're up to, you're not just creating intrigue, you're creating a deeper connection that's based on mutual respect and genuine interest. And if you're ready to embrace this shift, let's declare it together. My silence is my strength. This isn't just a phrase, it's a commitment to cultivating mystery, to allowing curiosity to grow, and to letting your presence be felt, even when you're not always sharing every detail. Let your actions surprise them. Number 4, let your actions surprise them. One of the most powerful ways to shift the dynamic in any relationship is to let your actions speak louder than words, and even more so, to let those actions surprise them. When people get used to a certain version of you, they start to anticipate your moves, sometimes even taking you for granted. But when you break away from the expected and do something unexpected, you create a ripple effect that can be both eye-opening and transformative. Imagine you're in a situation where your partner, friend, or even a colleague thinks they've got you all figured out. They know what you'll say, how you'll react, and what you'll do next. This predictability can lead to a kind of complacency where they stop appreciating the effort you put into the relationship. But what if, instead of following the same old patterns, you did something different, something that catches them off guard in a positive way? For example, let's say you're in a relationship where you're always the one who apologizes first after an argument, even when you're not at fault. It's become expected, and maybe your partner has started to take that for granted. But what if, instead of offering the usual apology, you decided to do something different? Maybe you don't apologize immediately, and instead, you take some time to reflect and then come back with a thoughtful conversation about how you both can improve communication. Or perhaps, instead of the expected apology, you surprise them with an unexpected act of kindness, something that shows you care without falling into the predictable routine. This element of surprise doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It's about doing something that's unexpected but meaningful. It could be as simple as taking initiative in a way you haven't before, stepping outside your comfort zone, or showing a side of yourself that they haven't seen in a while. The key is to act in a way that aligns with your values and goals, but that also breaks the mold of what others have come to expect from you. Consider the story of a friend who was always seen as the quiet, reserved type at work. Her colleagues had put her in a box, expecting her to stay in the background during meetings. But one day, she decided to take the lead on a project that she was passionate about. She presented her ideas with confidence, and her colleagues were taken aback in a good way. This unexpected action not only earned her respect, but also shifted how her colleagues viewed her role in the team. They began to see her as a leader, someone who could take charge and make things happen, all because she surprised them with an action they didn't see coming. When you let your actions surprise people, you're showing them that you're not a one-dimensional character in their lives. You're dynamic, evolving, and capable of growth. This can reignite interest, respect, and appreciation in your relationships. It challenges the status quo and reminds others that you're not to be taken for granted. But what if you're worried that stepping out of the norm might backfire? What if the surprise doesn't land the way you hope? This is where the power of intention comes in. If your actions are rooted in sincerity, self-respect, and a desire for positive change, even if they don't lead to immediate praise or recognition, they will still have a lasting impact. Remember, it's not about performing for others. It's about aligning your actions with your true self and letting those actions speak for you. So as you consider how to let your actions surprise those around you, think about what they've come to expect from you. Then think about how you can gently, yet powerfully, challenge those expectations, whether it's in a relationship, friendship, or professional setting. Let your actions be the spark that reignites the connection and makes them see you in a new light. And as you take this step, remember, my silence is my strength. Let this be your guiding mantra as you navigate the balance between silence and action, and watch how those unexpected moves can transform your relationships for the better. Number 5. Step back to let them come forward. In relationships, whether with a partner or a close friend, it's easy to fall into a pattern where one person is always the one initiating, making plans, starting conversations, or resolving conflicts. But sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to step back and allow the other person to come forward. This isn't about creating distance or playing games. It's about giving them the space to realize their role in the relationship and to step up. Imagine you're in a relationship where you've always been the one driving the connection. You're the one who texts first, makes the plans, and keeps things moving forward. Over time, this can create an imbalance where the other person becomes too comfortable relying on you to maintain the bond. But what if you stepped back? Not in a way that causes concern, but just enough to let them feel the shift. By stepping back, you give them the opportunity to take the lead, to show that they value the relationship as much as you do. It allows them to make the next move, to reach out, and to invest in the connection. This subtle shift can lead to a more balanced relationship where both people are equally engaged. This isn't about withholding your affection or support. It's about fostering a healthy dynamic where both parties have the chance to contribute. By stepping back, you create space for them to come forward, strengthening the bond in a way that's mutual and empowering. As the saying goes, sometimes you have to step back to see the bigger picture. In relationships, stepping back can allow others to step up, creating a deeper, more balanced connection. By stepping back, you allow the other person to realize the value of your connection and create room for mutual effort, fostering stronger and healthier relationships. If you found this insight valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help grow this channel and reach others who can benefit from these strategies. Now, here's a task for you. Drop the phrase, "stepping back with strength," in the comments below to show you're ready to embrace this approach in your relationships. Let's build a community of self-aware, empowered individuals working towards deeper and more meaningful connections. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay strong, stay reflective, and let your actions speak louder than words. Until next time.